Japan, one of Asia's biggest movie markets that's almost pretty much dominated by full-length anime films and manga adaptations. Don't believe me? Well, this top 10 list of Japan's highest grossing movies for 2022 will make you a believer. Now, disclaimer before we start. We got these figures from Box Office Mojo, so we're not sure how accurate they are, but they seem to be quite spot on. Also, due to the fact it's Box Office Mojo, this means the gross totals will be in US dollars. Sorry about that. And obviously, this list includes just Japanese movies. For the record, there was 5 US movies in the Japanese top 10 in 2022, including Minions: The Rise of Gru at 10, Fantastic Beasts: Secrets of Dumbledore at 9, Spider-Man: No Way Home at 8, Jurassic World 3 Dominion at 7, and Top Gun: Maverick at 2. Now I know you're interested to find out what movie could have possibly beaten Top Gun. Well, let's get this list started so you can find out. Now, caveat with this one. If you were to look at the list, the 10th position would technically be the live-action movie 99.9 Criminal Lawyer the movie. However, it gets a bit more complicated, as that movie was originally released on December 30, 2021 and scored around $2 million in its opening 2 days, which means that total needs to be subtracted from the total we have, and thus pushed this Dragon Ball movie into 10th position. With that out of the way, we start the top 10 list with one of 7 anime movies. Yes, animation, traditional animation, completely dominates Japanese cinema. Now, to not risk embarrassing myself with my complete and utter lack of knowledge about Dragon Ball, all I do know is that there is a dude called Piccolo, which seems out of place for me considering that's Italian for small. This movie is part of the Dragon Ball Super franchise, which encompasses 4 films including this one, with the last film in the series released back in 2018. It also appears to be the lowest earning film in the series by a long shot, with its paltry $18.5 million being a fraction of the rumoured $323 million the 4 movies are rumoured to have earned in total. Who knows where those numbers come from though? I certainly didn't make them up. So far this list is made up of titles that would have been appropriate when I was a small kid, so it just goes to show the lasting power of some of these franchises. Nobita's Little Star Wars 2021 has nothing to do with Lucas's original 1970s sci-fi trilogy, or the later Disney trilogy of trilogies, or the 19.7 million spin-offs, which is the amount in US dollars this movie earned at the box office. Now, like Dragon Ball, I don't know too much about Doraemon, but I have seen some of the cartoon before, so I know that he is a robotic cat with no ears who stores crazy invented machines in his body. I don't want to know how he does it, but I like that he does it. In this film, the troublemaker Nobita makes friends with an alien named Papi, who lands on Earth in a small rocket, which him and his friends decide would be an awesome play toy, not realizing that Papi is the president of a planet and there is a fleet of deadly space marines looking to hunt him down and violently kill him. Okay, so I might have embellished the story a little bit, but yeah, it's about a space war that Doraemon and his mates get sucked into. You know what? They should just send Jian. He's a bully, he can deal with them, and let Nobita get back to being the Zero that he really is. The first of 3 live-action movies on this list. It feels weird to say live-action, so what I mean is movies with real people in them and no animations. Is this drama romance movie, which sounds as dull as anything to me. But then I'm not the target audience, so forgive my ignorance. It sounds a bit depressing actually. A 20-year-old girl learns she has 10 years to live after being diagnosed with an incurable disease. See what I mean about it sounding depressing? Imagine having a 10-year death sentence. Although this is the bit where I sound like a complete jerk. This movie is actually based on a true story and adapted from a novel by Kosaka Ruka, who sadly passed away in 2017 at the age of 39. She'd be happy to know her story was captivating enough to earn a spot in the top 10 2022 movies list. I keep telling myself that I'll get around to watching the Confidence Man movie, and that was back in 2019. Since then, they've released 3 more films, with this one being the 4th in the series of very popular titles. Starring the best and most prettiest actress in all of Japan right now, Masami Nagasawa, and spoiler alert, she's in the next movie on this list too. The crew of con artists are on the international road as they travel to the tiny island of Malta for their next big con. With 4 movies in the series, this must have some long-lasting appeal with either the franchise or the characters. So if you've seen this movie or any of the Confidence Man JP movies, Leave a comment below and let me know what you think of them and why I should check them out ASAP. And I should definitely check them out before a 5th movie is announced and released. I told you Masami was in the next film, and here it is. Number 6 is the hilarious and very entertaining Shin Ultraman. I reviewed this movie in late 2022 and I loved it to bits because I'm not an Ultraman fan. Thus, I had no connection or love to the franchise. I enjoyed it for what it was, a very silly and very entertaining kaiju-style movie. Alongside Masami in this film is Hidetoshi Nishijima. Casual Japanese movie fans, or Western movie fans who watch the occasional Asian movie to sound cool, would recognize him from Drive My Car. My personal opinion is that he's better in this film than that one, and I will take that opinion to the grave. Feeling like a condensed series of TV episodes more than a feature film, and featuring some classic effects and music, this movie sees the Japanese government setting up a task force to fight the sudden emergence of giant creatures, which as stated in the film, only seems to occur in Japan. The squad's efforts are assisted by a giant metallic human-shaped figure who appears from space whenever these monsters attack. If you're looking for a Japanese movie to sit down with and have a good time, this is the title from 2022 that I would recommend. It's also the last movie on this list featuring real humans, as the next 5 titles are all animations. In every top 10 highest grossing movie list, there is an overachiever. For Japan's list, it's this film, the first slam dunk. What makes it an overachiever is that it earns its place here after just 4 weeks in the cinema, where the usual average is between 6 to 8. Releasing in early December, this film was always going to be popular, based on the hits we were getting on our trailer and news video we had about this title. Again, this is another franchise I know nothing about other than it's been around for a long time and has a very dedicated core fan base who love it. In this title, a delinquent, which by the way is a great adjective, named Hanamichi Sakuragi, enrolls in a high school and joins the basketball team where he becomes interested in a girl called Haruko, who loves the sport as well. I admit, this one does look fun to watch, and judging by the fact it made $45 million in a few weeks, it seems that assumption might be correct. I feel like a broken record here, but again, I know nothing about this series of movies other than they give off a very 1950s noir detective vibe. Or it could just be the trailer rolling in the background, I'm not so sure. This appears to be the 26th movie in the series, yes, I said 26, dating back to 1997. That makes it 1 movie per year, except for 2013 where there were 2, and in 2020 where there was 0, because you remember, something else was happening back then that stopped a whole bunch of movies from coming out. In what appears to be a movie set during Halloween, Detective Conan and his mates attend a wedding in Shibuya when a crazed man crashes the party and assaults one of the detectives. I'm sure it's actually a bit more exciting than that, but I don't have much to go off. You know, with 26 movies in this series, I think it's a bit late for me to get started with it. But if you've seen any of these, let me know what you think in the comments. Bonus points if you can name all 26 movies without resorting to Google. I'm probably going to pronounce the title of this movie wrong, so I'm going to avoid mentioning it. Thus, please draw your attention to the graphic on the screen that has the title printed on it. So I'm pretty sure this one got a theatrical release here in Australia, which means the rest of you watching it from around the world will most likely receive this movie theatrically as well, and with good reason, as it has a very high user rating on the usual Western movie websites. I can't say this one looks like my cup of tea though, even with all the rather stylish violence in the trailer. This movie appears to be about a high school student whose friend has turned into a curse and won't leave him alone, according to the online synopsis anyway. Apparently the school they attend is for exorcists to learn how to combat curses. I think if I was a teen again and I heard about a school like that, I'd probably want to attend it too, even if only for a semester. Then I wouldn't have been forced to learn math. Now, this is another movie whose entrance on this list is a little muddled, as it was released in 2021 and made a fair chunk of its total during its first week, 14 million to be precise. So this title is actually 4th with $52 million, meaning Detective Conan should be in 3rd position. However, and this is where lists like this really suck, if I take into account its worldwide gross, which I'm not, but if I was to, this movie would actually be 2nd with a total of $109 million. Confused? So am I. Next year, I'm farming this list out for someone else to do. Now this is an interesting one, as this movie earned enough at the Japanese box office in 2022 to score itself an international release under the simplified title of Suzume, which is what I'm listing it as here, although the full title is Suzumi no Tojimari, which apparently translates to Suzumi's locking up, which makes no sense, hence why the title's been shortened. Initially, looking at the poster, I thought this movie doesn't look that interesting, but on reading the synopsis, this actually sounds quite exciting. A 17-year-old girl and a mysterious young man travel across Japan trying to prevent disasters from occurring. She does this by closing some kind of door. So now that I know that, the translated title makes sense to me. Also, I'm not sure why, but I get a kind of Your Name vibe off this film. Anyone else? I might check this one out when it comes out here. With a total of $97 million at the Japanese box office, there is definitely an interesting concept here worth checking out. And coming in at the top position, earning a remarkable $139 million and beating Top Gun Maverick, is yet another franchise I have no idea about: One Piece. All I know about it is there is some dude called Luffy that seems to inspire a lot of female cosplayers whenever I go to conventions, and that there's some big boobed lady that has a lot of very interesting fan art available for her on the internet. Thank you for that, internet. The 15th One Piece movie, which started all the way back in 2000, the year Sydney had the Olympics and my beloved Essendon Bombers won their last AFL Premiership. This movie is about a singer called Uta who is about to give her first ever public performance, and then I assume something happens and Luffy and his friends have to do something to save the day. Clearly this movie has magnitudes of appeal and is still very much beloved in Japan. Let's be honest, how many movie series can you claim have reached their 15th entry and still top the box office chart in its year of release? There's nothing that I can think of. Thank you for watching 2022's top 10 highest grossing Japanese movies at the Japanese box office. Which of these movies have you seen and what did you think of them? Which ones do you want to see and why? We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please press the like button and consider subscribing to support our channel. We'll see you next time.